Things are getting very ugly inside Camp Trump. The MAGA ship has sprung a leak, and Marco Rubio just threw fellow Trump ally Mike Waltz overboard to go and patch the hole. Let me explain what's going on here. Marco Rubio is looking very much like a man who very much doesn't want to be associated with the dumbest national security breach of the year, or maybe the decade. The Signal chat, where detailed military plans were leaked, Rubio's message is crystal clear here. Someone made a very big mistake. And of course, we all know that the someone is Mike Waltz. This is Rubio starting with the friendly fire civil war because he wants to be out of the way when the other shoe drops. Take a look.
First question, let me just say on the Signal thing. This thing was set up for purposes of coordinating how everyone was going to call. You know, when these things happen, I need to call foreign ministers, especially of our close allies. We need to notify members of Congress. Other members of the team have different people they need to notify as well. And that was the purpose of why it was set up. Obviously, someone made a mistake. Someone made a big mistake and added a journalist. Nothing against journalists, but you ain't supposed to be on that thing. So they got on there and this happened.
Someone. We all know who that someone is. And Marco Rubio is not playing coy with subterfuge about hacking. He's not suggesting any of the various explanations that have been given so far. He's simply saying someone added Jeffrey Goldberg. And that's the problem. And we all know who that is. It's Mike Waltz. It's National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, the guy who created the Signal Group in the first place. This is the closest we've gotten in this entire time to a Republican breaking ranks. Big mistake is basically an expletive in MAGA world, where Trump has never taken responsibility for anything and where Trump has never apologized for anything, and that sort of MO is what trickles down to everybody that works for Trump. The fact that Rubio said it at all tells you something. What Rubio is doing here is building a wall, not between the US and Mexico. He's putting a wall between himself and Mike Waltz because he sees what's coming. The leak is a disaster and the incompetence is contagious. But even as Marco Rubio is sort of like lightly pointing towards Waltz here, he's still running cleanup when the topic of classified information came.
And again, I think the Pentagon's made it clear that nothing on there would have endangered the lives or the mission. And the mission's been very successful.
Is it classified, the information?
Well, the Pentagon says it was not. And not only did they say it was not, they make very clear that it didn't put in danger anyone's life or the mission. The intelligence.
So, of course, the problem here with this is that Rubio is falling for the exact same nonsense, which is if it is true that it wasn't classified, it was wrongly not classified. I won't go over the details again because we've done it so many times. And still, by the way, even as he starts to kind of create this distinction and say a big mistake was made, he's throwing Mike Waltz under the bus. Marco Rubio is still lying here by saying there were no war plans.
Very successful.
Is it classified, the information?
Well, the Pentagon says it was not. And not only did they say it was not, they make very clear that it didn't put in danger anyone's life or the mission. There was no intelligence information. And understand, when this story first broke, they were sort of alluding to were there war maps or there was no war plans on there. This was a sort of description of what we could inform our counterparts around the world when the time came to do so.
So here he is completely on board with the lie that they have manufactured. So here's the real story. Rubio's concern here is not national security. He's playing political defense. He's preemptively cutting Waltz loose. So when the blowback hits, he can say, listen, I said it was a big mistake. Someone made a big mistake. We now know who that someone is. I'm one of the reasonable ones. This is what we might call the MAGA panic dance. The leak happens. You blame nobody directly. You say the intel that was shared really wasn't that bad or that damaging. You quietly exile someone who was loyal just yesterday. And this is what a MAGA civil war looks like in the Trump movement. It's not dramatic speeches. It's cold, quiet betrayal, sort of one press conference at a time. There will be another shoe that drops. It'll be interesting to see who it is. Data brokers are continually collecting extensive details about your online behavior, address, phone number, email, financial information, even political views. This sensitive information about you can easily be found on public data search sites by anybody, could be an ex, could be an employer. And these brokers sell the data to other businesses and even government agencies like the FBI and NSA, who can buy it in bulk to surveil Americans without a search warrant. Scammers and spammers also get your details from these lists, and that's why you get the text messages and the calls and the emails. But you can stop it. Our sponsor, Incogni, will send removal requests to data brokers who are legally obligated to comply. If any of your information remains online, Incogni will follow up and ensure that it's taken down. Incogni keeps you informed every step of the way, and it just saves you countless hours of work that would be nearly impossible to do on your own. I use Incogni, and what they've managed to do is remarkable. Go to incogni.com/Pacman and use the code Pacman for 60% off. The link is below.